guys, I wanted to share my dream I had from last night. So my car for the past few weeks has been having problems. I figured it could be an alternator issue or a battery issue or both. So I kept having these dreams that my car wouldn't start, and then yeah, I would go to start it and it wouldn't start. And then I would get it jumped, and then the battery just kept draining and draining to the point where I had to jump it every day. Um, so I got the alternator replaced, and that night I had a dream that the car wouldn't start again. So surely about 4 days later, I ended up trying to start my car and didn't start. So I ended up sitting in this parking lot for a few days, just kind of chilling, just taking the bus everywhere, and it was cool. Um, the unfortunate thing is, I think that the reason why it didn't start is because I ended up talking to this guy that was really like a warlock or something. I think there is some kind of connection between, your spiritual life and the things that you physically own. And so, because this guy was draining my battery spiritually, I think that's why the car wouldn't start. Not sure about that though. And so, ended up getting it jumped a few days later. Took it to the mechanic. The mechanic said the alternator is perfectly new. It doesn't seem to be an electrical issue. And he said the only thing that's wrong with it is the battery shot. And so ended up getting a battery. And that night I had a dream that the car would not start again. This time it was different, however. I have been searching dress of like Africans and that kind of thing, because there seems to be some similarity between Hebrew tribes in Africa concerning dress, even if they're on opposite sides of the continent. So I came across the dress of the Xhosa, which are said to be a Bantu tribe from South Africa. And I'm looking at their dress and I'm like, well, it kind of looks like the dress from, the Igbos up north, except they use like orange and white and black, very like contrasting colors. It's really, really cool. Like, traditional wear. It's probably one of my favorites that I've ever seen, if not my favorite. And so, the interesting thing is the dream I had was the car not turning on and then the battery light coming on and it was orange, and like the check engine light coming on and it was orange and they were flickering, and then next was like a vision of these two Hebrews, well, maybe not Hebrews, but Africans, and they were wearing an orange kente cloth. So the color of orange matched, the orange on the flickering warning lights on the car. So it's almost like these people would be turning off, like the car lights would be turning off. Like they're not starting, the electricity is bad, they're going to shut down. I found it intriguing because I don't like kente cloth and I was not researching it. I had no interest in researching it or anything. But that's how these two Hebrew men, I'm assuming that they're Hebrew men, came up, but they were African. And so, I just found it peculiar, and I'm like, well, maybe this is why there's been an issue with my car, just so the Father can show me this dream or whatever the deal is. And so I researched the kente cloth a little bit and came to find out that it is the cloth of the Ashanti or the Asante and the Iwe, which are those from Togo. Both considered Hebrew groups. The Ashanti or the Asante descend from Ashan, which is out of Judah. And then the Iwe, I'm not sure where they're from. They might be Judah as well, but Iwe means sheep and come from Hebrew as well. So found that intriguing. I started to research more, and apparently recently the Democratic governments, officials, maybe in honor of George Floyd or something, they wore this kente cloth scarf to honor those black people who have been killed by police brutality. Now, the interesting thing about this is there is an association of kente cloth with slavery. So these groups that wore the kente cloth apparently were those, like the elite of these tribes, and these are the people who sold their people into slavery. That's what I'm trying to get at. And so this kente cloth represents the slave trade. Now, it's interesting too because previous to that, I was hanging out with this kid that, he knew he was a Hebrew, and I started to pick up, I think this guy has some kind of unclean, like, divining spirit, and he said he was in the military and all this kind of stuff at one point, but, he's living in his car right now. The other guy I was around, he started talking about Sumerian tablets, and like these people know that they're Hebrews, but they're not following in the Hebrew way. And I started saying, what if these people are really agents and like they're actually selling me out type deal? And I didn't think much of it, but then that's exactly what happened with these tribal groups, the Ashanti and the Iwe, apparently they were selling, slaves. They were in the slave trade. It's no different than when Judah, well, not even just Judah, his brothers sold Joseph into slavery as well. And so, you got people out here that are doing this, people that are descendants, people that claim it, and they're selling their brethren out for a little bit of change here and there. And so I said, I think this has something to do with Judas, or whatever the deal is. And then I started praying because, I don't want to really share something if it's not the truth. And I heard two nations. So it talks about in Genesis 25, Rebecca is pregnant and she's asking the father, what is wrong with me? What's going on? And the father says, there's two nations in your womb, Esau and Jacob. And so what that means to me is you have Esau, who, was originally the chosen son. He was born hairy, this kind of thing. And he sold his birthright for a bowl of lentils. So very similar to Judas, who, was with Christ and ended up handing him over for a couple dime pieces type deal. And then Jacob, which is where the Israelites come from. And he kind of took the birthright of Esau. And so I know that there's a book that talks about how Esau is the end of the age. And I think that's where we're at. We are definitely at the end of the age. And so I think what is happening and what's going to happen is a lot of the people that you consider brethren are probably going to hand you over. Other than that, you might become an Esau or a Judas and hand your brother over. So your birthright for a bowl of lentils or a couple dime pieces. So just be aware of the time that we're in. Because you probably just really shouldn't be trusting anyone. And just stay near the Most High. So you guys be blessed and have a good one. Bye.